Hello guys, this is a review of Season 2 and Season 3 of Sex Education. The way I'm going to do this is I have some points written down and I'm going to talk about what happens in each of those points and my opinion about it. I might have mistaken some points from the second season with the first season because I watched both of those seasons a while ago. And the third season, I obviously it just came out. I watched it in like 2 days. But like with any show, it's just a bunch of information, way too much information that I can't go by memory. So that's why I'm doing it this way as opposed to the usual way. Let's get started. So, season 2, Rahim likes Eric, who likes Adam. Rahim is this new student from France, I believe, and he attracts the attention of Ruby, he attracts the attention of Eric, and of like basically everyone because he's really handsome and really charming. And then they find out that he's gay and that he likes Eric. And Eric likes Adam. But Adam, in the second season, he starts off in military school, but he gets kicked out because of bad behavior, which it wasn't really on his part, but some kids accuse him of like having marijuana or something like that. So he gets kicked out, and then this is the one of the most romantic things in the whole like the 3 seasons. He goes to Eric's house at night and he throws like little pebbles at his window, and he comes out. He's like, "Whoa, like what's going on, Adam?" And then Adam's like, "Whoa, like you wanna go and smash some stuff?" And he takes him to like this secret place that he knows of where he breaks things, and that's how he gets out his emotions. So that's really, really, really romantic. It's so inspiring. I was heavily motivated to like write a song, but it never really came to be. Aimee. Aimee is going through a lot in this season because in Maeve's birthday, she prepares a rabbit cake. So it's very cute cake, and she goes on the bus, and this guy actually like, and by the way, this review is for adults only. I made it that way because the subject matter is just not okay for kids to be listening to or watching. So if you're a child, like get out, please. Like this isn't for you. Um so back to what I was talking about. Aimee, I forgot to mention that in the beginning. Aimee has this little cake and this guy jerks off on her, and she just goes to school and is like, it's kind of hard to read what's going on, honestly. When I was watching it the first time, I was like because she feels like she looks like this, like, so this just happened, like she very like not giving it the importance that it deserved, but at the same time kind of reacting in a peculiar way. I don't know. I was just it's might be because I'm a guy, but I had a hard time understanding what was going on until Maeve spoke to her and told her, "You need to tell the police." And for the longest time, I felt like it wasn't a big deal to her, and it's just that Maeve is very conscious about the struggles of like inequality in genders. So I felt like she had an advantage in knowing her rights and everything. She just wanted to do right with Aimee, but then I found out that Aimee was severely affected by what had happened, which, I mean, it makes sense. I don't think, then this is my opinion, I don't think that every woman would be as affected, maybe like, I don't know. I really, it really isn't my place. I'm just giving my opinion because, I mean, I know of women that like will react like would smack the person or speak out, but then later on, it like in the show they talk about how Aimee is like a people pleaser, so she tries to not make anyone feel bad, so that really makes sense. And of course the fear and the embarrassment that comes from being victim of that, it's never your fault. I just wanted to comment a little bit about that because the response that I got from her was a little interesting. Like it was really hard to read. Otis's dad invites Eric and Otis on a trip, and he makes numerous mistakes. Like he loses track of, I think, time and the place where they're supposed to be at. So they end up like renting a hotel, and everything seems to be going bad. But then it gets even worse when Otis finds out that he's sleeping with like, I think the receptionist or one of the workers in the hotel. And the dad is like, "Oh, my other girlfriend or wife is leaving me now, and it's because of her." And Otis is like, "No, that it's you, it's always been you." So he has like a very big breakdown because he realizes that his dad is basically a very a very shitty person. Otis hosts a party, and Maeve and him are not talking. Like, I apologize because I don't really remember every single detail, but I remember that she goes there with Isaac, and Isaac is like is this new guy that she met where she lives. He's a neighbor of hers in the trailer park that where they live, and he's what is it called? I think it's paraplegic. He can't walk, or like he doesn't have full control of his hands or arms. And they go to the party, right? And Otis gets so drunk that he starts saying like, "Oh, Maeve is such a narcissist. Like she's only thinking about herself and she doesn't care about anybody else," which obviously really hurts her feelings. And Maeve kind of went with the intention of maybe getting to talk to Otis and like figuring things out, but that doesn't really go that way because of what Otis does. There's a very big and beautiful scene where all the girls realize, well, Maeve realizes that Aimee's victim of what happened, what I mentioned earlier, and they get detention because somebody wrote some offensive words about the teacher on the school walls. So they're supposed to like write an essay, get together all the girls that the teacher thinks did it, and they're supposed to like write about some struggles that they have in common, something like that. So they can't like come to an agreement as to what the topic could be about because they're like playing out with the stereotype that girls just don't get along. So like they're like, oh my gosh, well I like cake, oh I don't like cake, I like chocolate, I hate chocolate. So they're trying to come up with something that they all have in common, and they realize that something that they do have in common is that they've been victims of like sexual predators, we could say, like unwanted advances, touches, maybe stalking by men. So they end up getting together and they figure out what happened to Aimee recently, and they go to that place. Ola takes them to the place where Adam showed her because he started working where she works, or well, they get together at the workplace, yeah, and they start breaking things and they start letting everything out, and they realize that the most important thing as women is to stick together. And I really agree with that as a guy. That I know that it also isn't my place to comment on these things, but I'm gonna give my opinion anyway because that's what I'm here to do. um, I think it's very important. We live in a society where, and I think it's always been this way. Like when you see a very charming guy, like the girl's like, "Oh, I want him," and then if somebody else it knows that you want him and they want him, instead of like coming to an agreement and being okay, well, what's fair? Like who does he like? Or, I feel like I have a hair in my face. Um, yeah, like do you really like him, or is this how do you feel, like how would you feel if I went out? Instead of doing all of that and being honest and upfront about it, they go behind their backs, they even attack each other and they lie and they call the other one like offensive things. And it's, are you serious? Like I really don't think that a guy worth the time is going to put you in a situation where you have to fight for his love. Like, I think as humans, like taking out the gender thing, you either like someone or you don't. And you could be in love with someone, and for whatever reason eventually just it ends up not working out, and you could meet someone new. And the best thing is just to be honest about it. Like I said up front, just tell the person, this is how I'm feeling now. So I think that we it's the most healthiest thing to break up so I could see someone else. And then when you find out that they're dating someone else, it isn't your place to go and attack that other person, whether or not he or she or your partner was in a relationship with the other person while in a relationship with you. That person, your partner, was the one that had committed to the relationship in the first place, taking into consideration that you're not in an open relationship, or assuming that you're not. Anyway, so Jean gets in trouble. Jean becomes like the school psychologist, we could say, the counselor. She's helping all the kids with the problems the sexual problems that they have, and eventually she finds out about Otis's sex clinic. She gets in major trouble because the headmaster at the time, I think his name is Grove, he ends up he steals her journal and prints out a bunch of copies about everyone, so all of their secrets are out and about. So that gets very bad publicity. It gets bad publicity, or I should have said, it gives bad publicity to Mordell there, the school that they're in. Adam's mom divorces Mr. Grove. She ends up figuring out that consequent um, to the sessions that she was in with Dr. Jean, and I don't want to say like because of her, it's because she had a hard time realizing the prison that she was in. I feel like a lot of people accept it because it becomes a custom, so they've been like in a very, as kids say nowadays, toxic relationship. So she's been doing this for a while now. She has this old son, so she thinks that that's just a way to live. And Dr. Jean lets her know, hey, you have needs, you have desires, and if you feel like you could do better without the person, then you could do better without the person. It's something that, like I said, I don't want to like point the finger at Dr. Jean and some. She's just there to help you realize your full potential and not just settle for the prison that you've been encaged in all your life. Ola, I did not understand this. So there's this girl named Ola. She's the daughter of Jakob. Jakob is the love interest of Jean. He's like a plumber. And literally, I don't think that this happened in the first season, but if it did, my opinion is still the same. Ola meets Otis and they fall in love, and they do so fast. Like, I was so surprised. I was like, so basically you just see the person like waiting for their dad outside, you speak one or two times, and now you're interested in them so much. Like, it made no sense. I never wanted Ola to be with Otis, but then in the end we realized that Ola really liked Lily because she never really felt right with Otis. I guess it was kind of like those infatuations. So it's this very quick disappearance of the love factor that drew them together. So that was pretty cool. I really I was so surprised with Lily because Lily, as we know from season 1, was always like daydreaming about guys, alien male. So that was pretty interesting. Now, season 3. So in season 3, Hope is a new head teacher. Hope is this young woman, very goal driven, very yes we can type of attitude. But she's also kind of like the villain in this season. Sorry. She introduces like the students to new plain gray uniforms, and she sets up boundaries. And like, for example, in the hallways, she draws a line and you have to walk on one side, and if you're going on one side and if you come, you have to walk on the other side. She starts painting over the graffiti, and I agree with a lot of the things that she was doing. I just felt like she wasn't looking for the best interest of the students over the students' interest. She was looking out for her own accomplishments, trying to, in my opinion, what is it called when you try to, she was making up for her inability to bear children. She was having trouble with her husband, and that's a very big issue that was not explored enough, in my opinion. I feel like it would have been a lot better if like some of the kids realized that that was a problem, and in a very humane way they drew attention to it so that she could open up about it and resolve that problem, and she wouldn't be the villain anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, when they find out, oh, it's because the villain is because she lost her mother. Oh, now we understand. Let's get along. That's what I would have preferred, but they didn't go that route. The next is Jean telling Jakob about the baby. So Jean is pregnant. Dr. Jean is very nervous about telling Jakob that he's going to be a dad. One, because they broke up, and two, because, well, she wasn't always sure that she was going to have the baby. And then having the baby means that she's going to be in constant contact with him, so she doesn't really know how that's going to work out, or if he wants to be a part of the process. That's very nerve-wracking. But near the middle, she ends up telling him. That's really nice. At first he's like, well, do you want me to be in your life, do you not? But they end up coming to an agreement of living together along with Ola and Otis, and see how that works out, because they feel like that's the best thing for the kid and for their relationship. Because if no, for a fact that there's still a spark in their life, especially in their sex life. Oh, before I forget, the intro to season 3, they keep putting more and more and more fire in these intros, which is good because that's kind of the main theme of the show, right? But at the same time, I feel that something that season 2 and especially season 3 lack is a little more of the heart. Like season 1 showed us how raunchy like this Netflix show could be, right? Good, perfect, amazing. But they didn't just do it to do it. You know, it made sense. The kids were going through all these things that we all go through. I mean, some more often than others, but it's a very human thing, you know, all the diseases, all the worries, all the paranoia that comes with it. Um, but in these like season 2 and season 3, it's more like just in your face, like, look, this is sex, like, look at it. Do you know what I'm saying? And in the first season it wasn't like that. It all made sense and it was revolved around the sex clinic, and that's why they were showing what they were showing. And I feel like now they're just doing it just like, look. And I mean, on from one end of the spectrum, I get it. It's cool because it's kind of telling you it's open and it's normal and it's healthy. It's done with intelligence, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, where is the substance? Where is the core that helped, you know, develop all of these very explicit scenes? We can't just have explicit scenes just for the sake of having them. I would personally prefer to have development and something that makes sense, and then you could go crazy, go all out and do what you have to do. But first, give me substance, which is something that we don't like, especially in the intros for season 2 and season 2 you could get by, but season 3 it was a lot, in my opinion. Not because it was too much to see, but because it didn't have something to back it up. Jackson likes Cal. So there's this new person, and is non-binary person who takes a liking to Jackson, and Jackson likewise. But so they're introducing a lot of like minorities and a lot of struggles, which is awesome. And I liked it. I'm just kind of finding it hard to remember the name of that one girl that's friends with Jackson, and I thought that they were going to be like a love interest, but that's why I'm going like, I thought that they were going to end up together, but at the same time, we all know that she was looking to go out with that other nerdy guy. I don't remember if they broke up or if that never came to be, but now she's going out, the smart girl is going out with another guy that's like super into like medieval stuff and like damsel in distress type of role play. And Jackson, on the other hand, he's no longer swimming apparently, but he's still like the head, we could say head student. I don't know what they call it, but he's like, let's just say like the class president. He's the class president. It's not exactly that, but just like the main student. Um, and this person, Cal, I believe it's their name. Cal is having a hard time abiding by the school rules, particularly the one of wearing the girls' uniform. And people are so messed up, like it's crazy. It's something that I can't relate to, but I feel like it makes sense for this to happen. It's not okay, but it makes sense that this really does happen in real life, and very unfortunate. It's something that should be talked about openly, and like maybe they could have like a coach or a teacher or someone hired to like be near or in the locker rooms at all times while the students are there, so that these type of things don't happen. Because I could understand how all of this is super uncomfortable. Imagine changing in front of other of girls and you yourself not a girl, and like the way that you dress is so different, etc. It's just very uncomfortable. So schools need to do something about that. Isaac tells Maeve about the voicemail. So at the end of season 2, we realize that Otis is willing to give Maeve another try. He's like, hey, I'm so proud of you and this and that. Like, if you want to, we could do something. But Isaac sees a message and deletes it, so she never gets it. And all these months go by, or weeks, and they don't talk to each other. So Maeve is very butthurt about it. She feels like Otis is just on another thing, because he's hooking up with Ruby, and I know that they had a one night stand, but that they're casual now. But at the same time, I remember hearing a little bit about it, like when they were announcing the release of season 3. I did not watch any trailer whatsoever, sorry, or any, like, maybe a couple of promotional pictures, but that's about it, because I don't like spoilers. I like to watch things for myself. But then I did read a comment. It was like, oh, now it's gonna be Ruby and Otis. I'm like, what is going on? I knew that they were gonna go somewhere crazy with this. I don't agree with it. I could like agree with the casual, and like they try to make Ruby out to be like this very deep person. Of course it happens. I've met people who are like, oh, I'm so cool on the outside and like nothing bothers me. I'm like indestructible. And then you realize that in their homes they're struggling with maybe a sick relative, or economic problems, or abuse. It's like things of that nature, and that's acceptable for Ruby's character. But why make it like, oh, I love Otis so much? I'm glad that Otis didn't love her back, because that would have just been like, Otis, you fell in love too quick. Well, that's just my opinion. They go on a trip to France. Everyone goes on a trip to France, and well, except for Eric, he ends up going to Nigeria, and I'm gonna talk about that after I talk about this. Maeve couldn't afford the trip to France, but her friend Aimee paid for it, and then they have a falling out because she gets mad that because Aimee paid, and I do understand why you would be upset, but dude. And then Maeve is also struggling because her mom, like, I forgot to mention that in season 2, she reported her to, like, social services, as we call it in the US. And they took, like, the girl away, and now she's the little girl, Maeve's sister, she's in, like, foster care or some sort of system similar to that. And her mom in this season, she obviously, like, doesn't want to talk to Maeve, but then she ends up, like, kind of talking about it and resolving the issue. But Maeve's problem throughout the series, and why she started the clinic in the first place, is because of money. But Amy's her friend, so I really don't understand why she would be so upset. And I know that she's very proud and she doesn't want anybody to help her, because I'm like that too. I also, like, if I don't ask you for help, please don't help me. Like, you could offer help, it's fine. It's actually, I'm very grateful if you suggest, did I phrase that wrong? If you suggest helping me, if you ask for, if I need your help, it's cool, but don't force your help upon me, because that becomes a burden and that becomes a problem. So I understand that, but at the same time, Maeve should know that Aimee, like, money, like she said, money's not a problem for me. Like, my mom has to, so it's not something like it's huge for Aimee. But granted, she should have told Maeve about it before. So, as not well, a lot of the fun things happen on that trip. On their way back, Rahim is in the restroom and he takes a huge dump that doesn't flush. So he ends up getting his sock and throwing it out the window, and it lands on the windshield of another car, which ends up making them collide and get into, like, this minor accident that stalls the continuation of their trip naturally. And then Adam takes the blame for it so that Rahim doesn't get in trouble, and they end up going back but leaving Maeve and Otis behind, and that's when they get a chance to talk to each other and make up. But they don't really know, like, where they stand. They kiss, and that's about it. Before I forget, Eric goes on the trip to Nigeria, right? And there, like, he's forewarned, do not be so, like, apparent about your sexuality. Don't make it so apparent. Sorry. Don't be so, like, glamorous in the way you dress, and don't draw attention to yourself. It's not something that's acceptable here. And he does do that. He's having problems obviously accepting it, but the cameraman for the wedding that he was going to attend turned out to be gay, and he invites him over to like a gay club, like the scene in Nigeria, the undercover scene. And they end up kissing, making out, and sleeping together. Nothing sexual happens, but they do share that intimate moment. And he now is going out with Adam, so that's another problem that I'm going to talk to a little bit. Not going to talk about it now. I don't like that. That's something that I do not like. I love Sex Education so much. The show has been so amazing. Aside from the fact that it's short, everything else is like wonderful. But I hate how unloyal the characters are. And true, as teenagers especially, imagine if like grown adults are out here doing all this mess, teenagers even more so. But can we have at least some couples that are loyal and that are like true to each other? Why do we, how, if we see from season 2 the struggle that Eric had with Adam, right? He liked him, Adam liked him, like there was a lot of love, a huge spark. And now all of a sudden he goes to Nigeria, meets this guy that he's never seen before in his life, and he's like, oh Adam, I'm sorry, but it's like, dude, like shut up. Can you commit to one person for a while? And it's like, oh, we're on different, like I'm flying and you're learning how to walk. Didn't you know that before? And true, like sometimes when it's put into like, it's one thing to think about it and one thing to actually see it play out. But regardless, I feel like he didn't even give him a chance. He kept getting mad at him for like the littlest reasons. You know how he is. You know that Adam is not the most eloquent, elegant, and well-behaved person in the world. But that's the Adam that you know and that you chose to be in a relationship with. That's just like, it sucks. I don't agree with that. Jean is having the baby, right? And since she is an older mother, she struggles. She has the baby successfully, but then like passes out, and I think she has surgery because of hemorrhage that starts soon after delivering the baby. And Otis talks to Jakob, and he's like, whatever happens, like I don't want to live with my dad. And Jakob's like, I'm not leaving, I'm not going anywhere, I'll be right here. So that's a really, really nice thing. She ends up surviving and getting well, so that's awesome. Eric breaks up with Adam. He tells him what happened in Nigeria, and he's like, it was more than just a kiss. Like, yeah, man, so annoying. And then Lily continues with her alien stuff. So Lily is obviously obsessed with like alien things. So she's so like, that's also what I don't like, is that they're like so inhumane at times. Lily was such a nice character, and I mean, she was never the most caring person. She's very blunt, very upfront, and very into whatever she likes. But she loved Ola, and instead of listening to Ola's problems about her insecurities being a half older sister, and like losing her mother and now moving in with a new stepmom, she was just into whatever she was doing. And she decided to publish this story about alien sex and whatnot, which caused everyone to laugh at her and like bully her. Well, it's not the fact that she published it, is the fact that people are assholes. But that's besides the point. She Ola talks to her and it's like, hey, you know, we could maybe do without it once in a while. And she gets butthurt. She's yeah. And after all the bullying, she ends up like tearing down the posters and the decorations in her house that are alien related, and tells her mom, throw it away, I don't need it anymore. But in the end, she changes her mind after one of the students goes up to her and she's like, oh, can you sign this, like I'm such a big fan, and like stuff like that. And I do understand that too, because sometimes it's very discouraging when you're working on something for such a long time and it doesn't get any recognition. So you feel like maybe what you're doing is of little to no importance, or maybe you're just not very good at it or ever going to make it big in whatever you do. I know that for a fact. And to have people tell you, hey, you're good at this, it's kind of like, But at the same time, I personally try to live my life based on what my heart tells me and my brain, and it has to be self-driven. self-motivating. It can't be because somebody else agrees with what I'm doing or finds it to be amazing. Like, and that goes with everything in my life. Like, if somebody tells me, oh, well, you're so ugly, well, I mean, I just move along, right? Oh, you're so handsome, thank you. And I move along the same way. I don't take it to heart because that's just your opinion, and I can't live my life based on the opinion of others, whether it's positive or negative. I appreciate it very much, so very much. I always appreciate a compliment, but it's not something that, like I said, something that I'm gonna base my life around, or my day, or my week. But it obviously gives you a little smile. Um, as to what happened to Hope, all the kids gather around the smart girl that's friends with Jackson. She records her saying, I don't care about like the minuscule problems of these peers and like of your peers, like they are like basically demeaning their struggles and saying that she doesn't care, she just wants things to go her way, or the highway basically, and I'm paraphrasing. So they end up getting together for an assembly where the investors are going to be at, and they ridicule her with a very sex-driven song. They fire her and they put the place up for sale. The school Moordale, which was gonna be like Star Spark, or something like that. I don't know. But now the students have no school to go to because they can't like afford it. The people that were going to invest their money in the school, believing that it could be something better after the involvement of Hope, now they don't trust that it could be because of all the shenanigans that the kids pulled, I should say. But at the same time, that like the teacher said, the English teacher, what they did was brave and courageous, and they shouldn't feel bad for standing up for their beliefs and each other. So that's basically it. I went through all of the points already. Like I said, one of the main things, generally speaking, that I could have appreciated more was to have that root from which the tree is growing, you know. We can't just have like a tree out of nowhere. The relationship in the first season with Otis and Maeve was so amazing. Maeve was so freaking cool. Oh my gosh, I forgot to mention. So Ruby gets into a fight with Hope, and she's like, when they're trying to like embarrass her in the auditorium, and that's like, out of every single encounter I've ever seen with Ruby and the other characters, that's the best one. Ruby really gave it to her. She used her expensive perfume and sprayed her in her face. Like, that was amazing. Loved it. I have to give her kudos for that. Her friend, what's her friend's name? Anwar? I don't know, but you know her gay friend? He's such a butt. He's so freaking like, I do not like their attitude at all. And the other, like the Indian girlfriend, I do not like their attitude at all. They think like they're like the best thing in the world. Like, I can't believe that people like that exist. And I know that they're just characters. Obviously, I'm referring to the characters alone, not the actors, but gosh, their characters suck so much. But like I was saying, in the first season, Maeve and Otis have like this connection. She's a bad girl and a really bad girl. Gosh, I loved her hair there. She really like stuck up as or stood out. I should not stuck up. She stood out as a very bad, outspoken, intelligent, strong girl, and Otis was like the little shy kid. And like now, I wanted more from them. Like, give me more from them. And also, altogether, the seasons are so short. Only 8 episodes. Only 8. It's not like one of those shows where the main couple are like the center of attention and everything revolves around them. That's not what this is anymore. It's not about Otis and Maeve's clinic. They don't even have a clinic. So they have a whole bunch of other stories that I'm invested in, and I feel like a lot of viewers are as well. We're not just interested in what's going to happen to Otis and Maeve. We want to know about Aimee. We want to know about Eric. We want to know about Adam. We want to know about Ola. We want to know about Jean. We want to know about a lot of the characters. So give us more. You know, and I know that you want a quality show, and sometimes less is more, but Gosh, I just wish we had more time. I don't know if there's gonna be a season 4. I assume there will be, because we didn't really see much closure here. Something that I also miss, and it's kind of besides the point, but I loved it when Otis would say, "On time is late" or something like that. Um, it makes sense to me. I know that a lot of characters didn't understand it, but I'm pretty sure it's self-explanatory. Like, if you're on time, you're late. You should be earlier, and that's on time. Um, you can never be too careful, as they say. Those are my opinions about the seasons. I would give season 2 a rating of, strictly in its category, 9 out of 10. And season 3, I would give it a rating of 8.5 out of 10. I would say they're both amazing. They're really fun. Like, I know that I said a lot of negative things, but I'm enjoying it so very much. You have no idea. It's so fun, such great acting. I'm so glad that Otis didn't keep his mustache. When I saw pictures of him with the mustache, I was like, no, they're doing it again. Like, they usually, in order to like give the illusion that time is going by, they put like facial hair in the characters, but they actually made it into a joke where Ruby's like, take it off, like, I like you better without it. So I found it to be pretty cool. Thank you, Ruby, for that. And it's because I already came to know Otis the way that he is. It's hard to accept change when you already know the character so well. What else? Well, I'm sure that there's like a million other things to talk about. Like I said, there are so many stories and so much character development of major and minor characters. So I could never end. But if you have any comments, please let me know. And I'd be very happy to share my opinions about it. If you agree or disagree with what I'm saying, you could also let me know in the comments. And hopefully there's a season 4, and hopefully they make it longer and they go a little bit more my route. Like, characters already have a way of being, and I want them to, like when you're first introduced to a show, I swear I'm about to finish. When you're first introduced to a show and you're like, well, I don't know any of these characters, but then after the first and second season, you know them, or you feel like you know them, so you're like, they would go this way, they would go that way, and they end up going the opposite way, and you're like, ah, like, that's not what they would do. That's how I feel sometimes, not at all, not every single time, but sometimes I feel like that with sex education. But all in all, regardless of all the bad things, which are not many, the season is super super fun, 2 and 3, and I would definitely watch a season 4. Looking forward to it if it happens. If it doesn't, then it's already a very very well supported show. The creators, it looks like they really took the time to make it, and quality matters to them, so that's awesome. And that's it for this one. Thank you for watching.